the days after 9/11, first responders from all over the country got the call. They were needed in New York City. An East Texas FBI agent was among them. He's since retired and sat down with our Dana Huey at his home to talk about the day that altered our lives forever.
Thinking back to 9/11 is never easy for any of us, but for the families and first responders who lived it, it's hard to imagine how those moments shaped their lives. Retired Special Agent Terry Lane, along with his team, responded to Ground Zero. So much has happened in 20 years, but that day, September 11th, Terry Lane can recall it like it was yesterday.
I was on my way to work, heard it on the radio, heard the reports of the first crash, and because there had been a plane crash into the Empire State Building years and years ago, I thought, well, maybe another aircraft. But when the second one hit, I knew immediately. I said, this is an attack.
Lane was an FBI special agent in the Lufkin office when terrorists struck the World Trade Center Twin Towers. He was also part of the evidence response team. The calls quickly started coming in from his bosses.
Hey, get ready. We don't know what we're going to be asked to do, but be prepared.
Lane headed for New York City with a team of agents based out of the Dallas field office. At this point, it was a recovery mission, no longer search and rescue.
I was there in 1996. And it was a different place. I was working the TW-800 crash, but this time it was very, very surreal because it wasn't noisy. It was very quiet. And I've told many folks this, as we're walking the blocks to the actual site, we walk past businesses and restaurants, and one image in particular sticks out. We walk past this obviously very nice restaurant. They had, the linens are on the table, the crystals on the table, all the plates, all the silverware's on the table, but it's dead silent. I mean, it's like walking through a ghost town. And there's white powder dust everywhere, just coating, it looked like snow. You're walking in snow.
Lane spent the next month in Staten Island at a landfill that had been closed down, facing a different danger.
We were sent day 2 and the rest of our tour to Fresh Kills landfill, but because of the necessity, they opened it up and expressed concerns to us about, hey, this may be a dangerous place. We had to kit up, wore respirators, wore goggles, gloves, trying to protect ourselves. And sadly, it didn't offer full protection because we've had a number of folks, not only in the FBI, but in the first responder community that are suffering illness. Different kinds of cancer, different kinds of respiratory disease. So far, I've been real lucky. I've not experienced any of that.
The work they were called to do, almost unimaginable for us, but a calling for these men and women who serve their country, not just at home in East Texas, but wherever they're needed.
And we would go through all the material, and our primary responsibility was looking for human remains, trying to recover, the victims so we could provide something back to their families. And then there were some other classified issues that we were addressing as well.
More than 2,700 people were killed in the New York attack.
That's the reason you're there. You're hoping you're doing something for the greater good. You're hoping you're going to be able to provide something back to the families so they can get some closure. The FBI and a lot of other agencies, medical examiners' offices were doing yeoman's work because they were taking what was found and then they would do the DNA and the matches and be able to say, okay, we found your loved one. They're not just missing. We found them. We know what happened to them.
So many families shattered, and a nation in mourning for all the lives lost and the sense of security that was stolen that day. As an FBI agent, is that something that you can process emotionally, or is that just something you have to distance yourself from?
God gave me a gift. I've picked up a lot of human remains in my career, and again, I was a banker. I wasn't trained to pick up, bodies and body parts. But God gave me a gift that I'm able to take that and compartmentalize it and do what needs to be done. And with rare exception, I don't carry that with me. Part of that is I had 7 really great partners. There were 7 other FBI agents from the Dallas Division who I knew and had worked with in the past. We were all members of the evidence response team. And so knowing them, being friends with them, being able to, talk to each other about what we were encountering.
For Lane, his work in New York was just the beginning. Our nation's war on terror took him to Iraq in 2004 and to Afghanistan several times after that, helping to track down anyone who wanted to hurt Americans.
So it was ground zero was just the beginning, hoping we were doing the right thing in protecting my wife, my daughters, my neighbors, their children.
Speaking of his family, Lane said his support system, his wife, who took care of his children while he was away, that's what allowed him to proudly serve his country on so many missions, always with the goal of making America a safer place for all of us. We've got you covered, East Texas. Dana Huey, CBS 19.